Greetings, Garou. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome to our world of darkness, and I grant you all a howl of introduction. Today we're going to go into our first lore sheet into Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition, and we're going to start not in order of what the lore sheets are in the book, but one that I think is important for the Garou nation as a whole, and that is Umbral Traveler. Werewolves. Werewolves have the ability to walk back and forth through the spirit world, and I think that this lore sheet might be one of the more important ones for the Garou to consider in their journey to protect Gaia. The spirit wilds constitutes a mystery even to the Garou, whose animistic outlook makes them familiar with the spirit world, but not strictly of it. Although it is an ever-changing place of thought, spirit, and emotion, some truths and even locations within the mirror shadows remain constant to a certain degree. Certainly, things can change at a moment's notice, especially during the era of Apocalypse. But to those Garou who make explorations of the Umbra their specialty, one can understand the rules of the spirit world if one knows what to look for, at least for now. Getting into this lore sheet is, it was a decision, because obviously this one is the third one in the book. It's not the first. I could have just jumped into Monkey Wrenchers and just gone with it. But there were a few deciding factors. Getting into causing trouble for Pentax or creating a nuisance to Project Twilight could have been a lot of fun. Hell, even jumping into the Black Spiral Dancers was that was tempting. But the idea of what the Garou are as spiritual creatures has been something that has actually stopped me from getting into a lot of Garou games, a lot of Werewolf the Apocalypse games in the past. Because, at least in my area, most people who play Werewolf seem to be more interested in how big they can get, what kind of damage they can do, how they can destroy other games that are in their areas that have decided to open up to them and work as tandem events. And it's really sad because Werewolf should, yes, have a lot of fighting in it, but it should also be first and foremost a spiritual endeavor. Now, that is not 100% fair to me to say due to the fact that people can play games in the way that they want to. But I guess I've just never really found the Werewolf the Apocalypse game that I really wanted to be involved in, due to the fact that it just seemed all hack and slash and not edging on the animistic qualities that the werewolves have. So let's go ahead and take a look at the advantages you get for taking this lore sheet. If you invest one trait in this lore sheet, you get Silver Steps. In the Umbra, the Garou leaves behind silvery footsteps that only they themselves can see, which help them find their way back across the gauntlet once it's time to return. The difficulty to return to the physical world from the Umbra by using the rite of shadow passage is reduced by 1 when you're the Rite Master. I like the idea of Silver Steps due to the fact that the Umbra is constantly changing. It's a living entity, and I don't know. It gives me the thought of fleas on its back if you're playing a werewolf, which is ironic. But the idea that you are able to see a silver path that leads you from where you started in the Umbra back to the exit, so that you're never truly stuck in the Umbra's trappings. This is actually very useful. And I like the fact that not only does it give you the passage that you can see, but giving you that reduced difficulty, even by one, when performing the rite of shadow passage. It's just useful, and it also makes you a benefit to your pack. Investing 2 traits into this lore sheet gives you web music. You have observed the movements of pattern spiders, and once per scene, when their webs are present, you may pluck those strands like musical strings and draw the attention of a single pattern spider present, whether visible or otherwise. This signal does not make the spider predisposed towards you by any means, but it attracts the spider's attention infallibly. Whenever I introduce the Umbra, and I have characters who are traveling through the Umbra in an urban environment, anything that is electric, I always have the spider webs representing the energy that the spiders are going. I use spiders as my thought for weaver spirits. And the idea of being able to get a weaver spider's attention, a pattern spider, it shows me that I need to learn more about this as I storytell things, and also B, being able to actually get the attention of one, possibly speak to it, could have some massive benefits in a game that I would run. Investing 3 traits in this lore sheet gets you Underworld Initiate. You're aware that there are parts of the Umbra you think that belong to a different kind of spirit and a different timbre of emotional resonance. Although you can't communicate with them inherently unless they choose to communicate with you, you can see what can only be described as ghosts when they're present in portions of the Umbra, or when they haunt the physical world. They can't hide from you unless they use specific supernatural powers that allow them to do so. So basically, sense the unseen. This power gives you the ability to see deeper into the Umbra. For you. That's actually kind of an interesting way of looking at it, because when you look at things such as necromancers like the Hecata, you see directly into the Shadowlands. This allows you to see wraiths through the gauntlet. Now, this could be taken in a lot of different ways, because these could be elementals, but elementals on a further plane. You're not going through deeper and deeper channels. All of the existences of the world are on top of each other that vibrate at a different frequency. Earth itself, the Shadowlands, the Umbra, the Penumbra. There's a whole wide range of cosmology in the way that the Umbra works. And with this, you can actually see through the one that holds the dead people. And being able to interact with spirits in a way can lead to all different mannerisms of plot lines. And running Wraith alongside Werewolf has really never been something that I've considered, but I can see where the interest would be. Investing 4 traits into this lore sheet gets you Spirit Sustenance. You're particularly attuned to the spirit world, and you suffer only superficial health damage when you fail to spend willpower to stay in the Umbra for a protracted period of time, though enough superficial damage eventually becomes aggravated as normal. Being able to stay in the Umbra for an extended period of time is something that I can see characters that I would play doing on purpose. I've found myself in other games having characters that become with specific sensory overloads. Heightened senses for vampires is a huge thing for me. Just that one level 1 power of aspects, and being able to just sit in the rain and feel it fall and listen to it fall and the vibrations. And I can understand that a werewolf that I would play would end up being the same way with the Umbra, wanting to stay there and experience that whole new world more and more. And if you end up taking damage, that's not something that would necessarily stop one of my characters. So having something like this as an option would be very good for someone like me. I'm actually very interested to see what you guys think of this as a sensory overload type of thing for a character. Investing 5 traits into this lore sheet gets you Chthonic Secret. You're the current keeper of a monumental umbral secret, such as the location of a powerful spirit's denizens, or a hunting ground of a legendary Garou spirit, handed down to you by the previous keeper of that secret, and so on up to the chain of spiritual duty. What you do with this knowledge is up to you, but whatever puissant spirit the secret is about knows you know. You should get the storyteller involved with this one. I like this because it's one of those things where the storyteller and the player are encouraged to work together. And having something like this could open up a whole world. What if you know the specific... I can't really say physical because we're talking about the Umbra here, but what if you actually know the location in the Umbra where a patron spirit lives, like where it exists and calls its home, its domain? What if you are able to reach back to the dawn of existence for the Garou and have access to some like Garou who has left its physical form and become something much stronger on the other side? These are ways of getting incredible amounts of lore into your character's backstory, but also ways of getting lore that will progress your game. I'm liking the spiritual bend that the lore sheet so far is giving for Garou, and I do look forward into looking into the rest. I think in future installments of Werewolf the Apocalypse books, perhaps we'll see a Changing Breeds book, or something like the Werewolf Player's Guide, or something like that. We'll end up getting more lore sheets, and I cannot wait to see what they are. I am Voivode Maquette. This is our World of Darkness, and I am having a lot of fun doing werewolf content. I look forward to hearing what you all have to say in the comments below. Good evening.